Welcome to today's Energy Wednesday, and this is the last of a season. Certainly in the UK, we're just ending British summertime, and I have really enjoyed doing these, and I'm sure I'll be popping up with something else, whether it may be another Energy Wednesday in time, but this is completion of one cycle. But there's a couple of things that I wanted to tie up a little bit before I moved on to today's topic, which is really about just working with the hands. And I think, quite a lot of you that are on here today have been on the previous ones, and we talked about the radiant circuits and the energy, with the energies of joy. But I actually did that over 2 or 3 sessions, and so a couple of weeks ago we covered the energies of navigating the times of change, navigating the winds of change. And I brought in the regulator flow then, which in Chinese medicine is called yin wei, and brought in the regulator flow then, which was putting our hands over our face, the heart, and making a stretch there, and coming down the inside of our arms here, and then coming down to the outside of our chest, down the front of our abdomen, down the sides of our legs, and off our big toe. And then back up spleen again, which I think all of you know the spleen, and the inside of our leg, inside of the foot, up the inside of the leg, crossover at the hips, up and down again. And the yang regulator was hands over our forehead, up over our ears, down, hanging on our shoulders, and then coming to the outside of our arms, and then to our back, right down the back of our legs, and off the little toe. So we did that a couple of weeks ago. And then last week we did the exercise Cover Your Eyes, which I won't cover just now. So it's called Cover Your Eyes if you want to look it up. That's within Donna Eden, the way that Donna Eden teaches it, and that's calming our triple warmer. We worked with the belt flow, which you can look that up as well. It's immediately behind our belly button and coming round and off the opposite leg. And we worked with the central meridian. We worked with that both through Eden Energy Medicine and Jinshin Tara, with the main central vertical flow. And I was just showing before we press recording a way that you can do a quick release is holding your left hand just at the base of the sternum, below the rib cage, and your right hand on the top of the head. And that's actually maybe a bit more easy to hold than holding, a whole series of points. But this is activating what's called our microcosmic orbit. So it's like a fan belt of our body, our central meridian and our governing meridian coming up and down the center or the front of our body and round the back. So these hookups you can hold for a long period of time. But basically we have the central meridian, we have our spleen that we're aware of, we have triple warmer that we're aware of. I've mentioned the yin and yang regulator, but what I didn't cover last week was the bridge flows. And they are in Chinese medicine, they're known as the Chao, the yin and yang Chao. And bridging is basically bridging from one to the other. So anything with duality, from past to present, from right to left, female to male. So I thought we could just do these 2 bridge flows, and then I will take us to work with the energies of our hands. So we bring our hands back to this point. It's either called the power points within energy medicine. It's where our head meets our neck. And we just hold this here, and as we imagine that we did our nice grounding starting with our hands and our thighs, but we're just feeling our energies sinking right down into the earth, holding on to this power point, Taking a couple of breaths. And then we're coming up round our head to our forehead. And take a couple of breaths. Coming down to our lovely points that we like on our cheekbones. And then coming to these nice, the K27 points just underneath our collarbones. Just give them a rub. You can either have it like that or cross your hands over. Coming down to our breastbone. And this is where we finished last week with 9 hearts, but we're going to trace 3 hearts. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to come down the front and the sides of our legs. That's down stomach meridian. We're going to hold at our feet. If we can squeeze our big toe and our little toe. And if we can, we put the pads of our fingers underneath the soles of our feet now and bop up our bottom. And then come along the inside of the foot, up the inside of the leg, cross over at the hips, up to the armpits and down. And we can give a nice big figure of 8 because we've got a bridge from front to back as well. So bridge is about connecting, moving from one to another. And the front bridge is about bringing things forward. Now, let's see. And the back bridge is a very easy one to do. And it's doing lots of figure of 8s. It's a little bit of fun. And then you are going into them. So you're making a nice field of 8s in front of you. And then you either can imagine it or you can do it and you can jump into them and feel that. So that's the radiant circuits. It's just I wanted to make it clear that, you know, I hadn't taught a class on just the radiant circuits, and I mixed and matched a little bit. But you can always, you know, we've got, you know, the internet. You can always look at, you know, look them up, and there are lots of different videos on tracing the radiant circuits. But I thought I would just finish that anyway. And today I thought what we could do is work with our hands, because our hands are the most amazing tools for us. And we don't, I think I certainly, you know, if we don't have the ability to use our hands, obviously we then realize how much they do for us. But they really are our tools as far as so much that we can do for self-care and in energy medicine. And I've often shared with you the Palm Inju. So that is, you know, otherwise known as the Anjali Mudra, and it's such a universal mudra. It's known all over the world as Namaste. You know, I salute the, you know, divinity in you. I see, you know, I see you. And that's a very lovely, calming way to come back into, you know, our own presence and acknowledging the presence of another as well. But a simple thing that we can do is this is what's called opening the gates. And you see the tendons between our fingers. So I'm just going to come and give myself a little bit of a massage. So in between the tendons, and squeeze my pinky finger and off, and then down between my fourth and middle finger, and squeeze off my fourth, and then down and off the third, down and off the pointer finger, and then in between, in what's called the snuff box, between our thumb and our index finger, and off the thumb. You could, if you wanted to, oops, you could get yourself some nice hand cream and do that. Make it a little bit nicer. Just give yourself a little bit of a rub. Makes it a little bit easier once you've got something on, but you do this in the shower. And what we're doing is we're just making space for energy to flow in our hands. We can do it on the other side. So I will come down between my little finger, my fourth finger just now. So in between the tendon, squeeze off the pinky, down our fourth finger, squeeze off, down the third. And we can do this, and then the index finger. And some people pay a lot of money for this. They go to the hairdresser and they pay for this, or they go to a spa. So you can do it yourself, you can do it for somebody else. And also by just really giving a nice rub in the middle of the palm. You can, if you want, take your knuckles down. It's a lovely thing to do on somebody else. Those that have done the training know that you can cross your fingers and then bring your thumbs across the palms of somebody's, well, yeah, across their palms. So it's not so easy to do on your own, but it's a lovely thing to do. And by rubbing your hands, what that does is it builds up, it builds up electricity. And then when we are, it's building up our bioelectric charge. And then when we are using our hands, they are more potent when they access the different points. And then we can shake them off. Rub our hands again. Shake them off. If you want, you can put your hands here and see if you can feel anything, feel any tingling. It may feel a little bit different. So this was shared with me actually at the weekend. There were different hand mudras, and these were working with the rhythm of fire. And actually this one was related to the rhythm of the small intestine, which comes off the pinky finger. But just by holding our hands here, I can certainly feel a charge in between my fingers. You can see if there's any difference if you bring if you look at the palms of your hands. That's working. So we've got the backs of our hands facing. So that's working with our major protector system. Triple warmer. We have our other protector system, the pericardium or circulation 6. I believe this is this way for that. And there is a fourth meridian that's associated with the rhythm of fire, and that's the heart. So by putting our hands up to the heavens and feeling the warmth or the tingling that you had already built up on your hands. See if you can feel any more of a connection as you make connection with the heavens, the air, the heavens above, the sky, whatever it is that's, a greater force, than just our, simply our human existence. And bringing that into the heart. So I don't expect you to remember this just now, but our arms are very much connected with the rhythm of fire. And the rhythm of fire is about, our connection with others. So how we, how we connect and how we use our hands to, gesticulate, if that's the right word. We have our heart meridian coming down from our armpit, down and off the little finger. There. We have our small intestine meridian, which comes from the outside of the pinky and coming up the outside of the arm, up to our cheekbone, on the other side. We have circulation sex, so which is our pericardium. So we take our one hand, go to the opposite side of the chest, above the nipple, and up to the shoulder. Have our arm open on the palm side, come down the middle of the arm and off the middle finger. And squeeze it and off. And then again, the other side, up over the shoulder, down the middle of the arms. And squeeze off the middle finger. We have our triple warmer. Okay, and coming up to our shoulders, up round the back of our ear and to our temple. Back, round to our shoulder, down the back of our ear to our temple. And most of you will be aware of the fact that we normally can triple warmer, we're coming back the way, but it's fine to remind it once or twice that actually it's doing a very good job. So that's a connection with our rhythm of fire, our communication with our arms and our hands. I don't know if you remember, one of the other days I showed you about using a spoon and that we could spoon our feet. Well, we can spoon our hands as well. We can spoon any part of our skin. And it really helps us with grounding. So most people tend to think of it with our feet, but it's such a lovely, lovely thing to do. So that's spooning. So we've opened our gates, which is here. We've worked our palms, and they actually say we sometimes call it your chakras in the middle of your palms. So we have chakras down the middle of our body, but a chakra just means a vortex, a spinning of an energy. So we've opened up our gates here. We've worked down in the palms. We can work by bending our wrists back. We can, the very first day that I shared with you, I did something called Pawan Muktasana, which is opening all the major joints. So I'm just opening the wrists here one way and then the other way. We can do it like that, just helping us with our flexibility. Yeah. And in Chinese medicine, and there are, as we know, there are lots of different acupoints, and there are some in every single meridian, there is an important, one particular point that is particularly associated with an organ. So it helps very much so the meridians work with the physical, they work with, and they also work with the energetic, and on a deeper level as well. But there's a particular point on each meridian that's really good for helping with the physicality. And many of them are found on the hands. And these are called source points. And a lovely way to work with the source points is really by just rubbing round our wrists. So we can just squeeze round, we needn't worry where they all are exactly, but just squeeze around there. And I'll go and show you now where they are, but by doing that and coming round to the thumb, the indent between the thumb and the index finger, you're pretty well hitting them all. But there is one here. So the one in between the thumb and the index finger, people know as large intestine 4, and that's a very good point for headaches. That's one point there. There's another point if you come down the 4th finger, between the 4th and the 5th finger, and halfway down. Then if you know EFT tapping, there's a little point there, and that's the tapping point for EFT, and that's called triple wormer 3, or that's triple wormer, sorry, the tapping point is actually triple wormer 3, but this is triple wormer 4. My apologies. So it's another dip down just above our wrist. And then over, I've got a little bit of a bony bit here. There's another little dip. It's where we find the dip. And that's down from our small intestine. And on the other side, we've got the heart finger. We've got one for the heart. And that's a heart protector in the middle, because remember the heart protector came down the middle finger. And then we have our lung meridian that comes down, up over the shoulder and off the thumb, and the lungs there. But you don't need to know all of them. That's lung, that's heart protector, heart, and then we've got small intestine, triple wormer, and large intestine. But all you need to do is do this and know that, well, actually, by doing this, I'm doing a pretty good job as far as, many of my major meridians are concerned. We have some points in the feet as well, but I just thought today what we could do is work with the hands. So when you see people wringing their hands, it's it's not a bad thing. Okay, so we can shake them off. Now, this might confuse people, since I have been talking about meridians. I've been saying the lung meridian comes off the thumb, the heart protector comes off the middle finger. So yes, that's absolutely correct as far as our meridians are concerned. But in Jinshin and some other traditions, as you'll see, there's lots of different mudras or positions used throughout, India, throughout, other countries in the East. But actually, every single finger of our hands is associated with one of the elements. And actually, so don't worry about meridians, because this is slightly different, but our thumb, by holding our thumb, that is links with the energy of worry, because it's linked with the earth element. And so if you're finding that you're particularly worried about something, or you've got problems with assimilation and digestion, by holding the thumb is quite a nice thing to do. And just by taking a couple of breaths. And if it doesn't resonate with you, because if you've already learned the meridians and going, this doesn't fit, don't worry. I'm sure there's a lot of this is intention as well. And then, but the index finger is, so we would normally say the meridians that we know would be our large intestine. But for this one, this is actually the rhythm of water. And so it's for fear. So fear of moving forward, fear, it also associated with our immunity. So I learned from Stephanie Mines that, well, she learned as well, and this is like, be your inner physician. So it's also with intuition water is got a lot to do with intuition. Our middle finger is about structure. So our liver and gallbladder, and they are very, so that's a wood rhythm, and that's about practical, getting things done, having form and structure. So there's only two left. The fourth one here is, this is the rhythm, and in Jinshin it's called the air element. So it's slightly different from the metal, but it's still lung and large intestine. And this is about metabolizing grief. So it's a great harmonizer of our nervous system. And then the last one is our fire. So that's the heart and small intestine. And that's often, small intestine is about over efforting. We're trying too much. We're reaching out. We're trying too much. And then finally, there's another one, which is called primordial fire, which is like the heart protector. And that's the middle of our palm. And this is back to the palm inju. So the middle of our palm, it's centering us, it's stabilizing us, and also helps us, along with the earth rhythm, also helps us with our digestion. Many people know that, these points along there, along our pericardium meridian, are helping with nausea. So it's whatever you're drawn to. I mean, certainly if you have a knowledge of the meridians and know how to, by tracing the meridians, by actually remembering, well, okay, so if I'm coming off, this is my, this is my lung meridian, I'm coming off here, this is large intestine, and being, just being mindful when we're working with, actually clearing the gates or coming off the fingers. If you're thinking of meridians, well, okay, so this is my heart finger here. Otherwise, from an emotional point of view, it's just by holding the fingers, and it's slightly different. So the thumb is earth, the index finger is water, the middle finger is wood, the fourth finger is air, the fifth finger is fire, and the palm is what's called primordial fire. And that's we talked last week about having our spark of being, and primordial fire is very much about that. It's like our spark of individuality. So it's amazing to realize, oh my goodness me, all we have done is work with the hands, and think what we can do is we've often worked with the trunk of the body, with the center of the body, and we've traced down the legs, we've traced down our arms, but we haven't given an awful lot of attention, certainly in these Wednesdays, to our hands and our feet. And it's just a little bit too awkward for me to show you my feet. So I thought we had enough, certainly today, with the hands. So to recap, I covered a little bit from last week, and we brought in what was called the bridge flows, which is bridging from, we did the yin bridge, coming from the power point to our forehead, holding there, coming down to our cheekbone points, then down to our points underneath our collarbone, then down to the end of our sternum, then 3 hearts, then down the front and sides of our legs. And actually, it's actually putting your feet on top of the palms of your hands, popping up your bottom at the back, taking a couple of breaths, and then coming up spleen, which is going from the big toe along the inside of the foot, up the inside of the leg, and up to the armpits and down. We did nice big figure of eights because we were seeing the bridge from back to front. And then the back bridge was lots and lots of figure of eights and jumping into them. So we can give everybody else a figure of eight, and we can just, we're not two-dimensional anyway. So doing them at the front, we can imagine them, going down our back. And then we work with our hands. So we work with opening the gates. So just the tendons in between. Work with, I'm saying you could use a little bit of moisturizer if you wanted. We remembering, opening up the palm, just making space, rubbing our hands, shaking them off, holding the palm in you. Remembering that all these amazing rivers of energy are meridians. They all have, each of the individual points have all got an amazing function, and one of them is incredibly potent as far as actually working with that organ is concerned. So don't need to remember about them all, but just know, well, okay, I remember a little bit about the meridians, but I'm rubbing along the palm, I'm coming into the points there at the base of my thumb, coming around here into the point there at the base of my thumb. And if it's not too much of a scramble for you jumping from one to the other, then just remember, and you may find yourself just, I can't remember which it is, but just whichever finger you maybe are intuitively drawn to hold, hold it. And, it will help. So I hope that's been helpful. I had no idea I would be, talking about the hands, but it seemed that there's so much information that's there, that's ready for us to tap into. But what I've learned, and what many of the rest, many others have learned as well, is like we've actually got all of this in ourselves. It's so interesting, but it's so easy because we all know it anyway. And it just needed a few people coming to tell us, oh, you hold this, you do this, and you're like, oh yeah, I've been doing that all my life. I didn't actually think it was an energy exercise. So really that's hopefully what I've been able to share, is that this is something that we can all do. It's something we can all tap into, and please go and share it with your friends, with your communities, and if you can, in your workplace as well, because certainly in the health service, we so need just really simple techniques to help us ground and help us know that we can look after ourselves, and that we are sovereign as far as our health and vitality and our future is concerned. So thank you. I shall put the recording off. And to say thank you again for coming and joining these Energy Wednesdays. I really enjoyed it. I felt a huge amount of support from you all as well, and had lots of messages, and very happy to continue to work with many of you, either one-to-one or in classes, but I will be popping up and doing some more stuff online soon as well. So I shall stop this.